Later this month, a very popular voice on the radio in San Diego will go silent, at least for now. Claudia Russell has spent decades as an announcer at KSDS Jazz 88.3 on the campus of San Diego City College. Recently, I had a chance to sit down with Claudia to talk about her brilliant broadcast career, how she got started, and what her next chapter will look like.
Jazz 88.3 for Lena and Lenny, coming from Red Norvo. Red on the vibes there, a 1957 date. You tuned into Bohemia After Dark on Jazz 88.3. That's pretty. I got started in radio by working for a very small station in Rochester, Indiana. And by small, I mean farming community and agriculture community. So a lot of police blotter reporting, a lot of hog futures and that sort of thing. And I worked for them for several months. And then I was picked up by an AM/FM combo in Logansport, Indiana. The general manager had heard me do a live spot at a convention and asked me if I would come and audition because they were going to open up what had been previously automated music during the daytime to a live host. So I applied for that, and that's where I got really the important fundamentals of broadcasting down. And the general manager, Andy Eubank, took me into a production studio. He racked up a reel-to-reel tape because this is the 80s, boys and girls. And he looked at me, pushed record, and said, "Talk," and walked out of the room. And I kind of flipped out for about 10 seconds going, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. And then I just started talking, just rambling on about various things. And then he came back in and we listened to the tape. And 2 days later, he called and offered me a job. And the first day that I went to work, I went into his office and I said, "Can you explain to me what that reel-to-reel thing was about? What was that about?" And he said, "I needed to know confidently that if anything breaks down in this studio while you're live on the air, that you can open that mic and I will not have dead air on my radio station." And that was such a profound lesson to me. And it really set the tone for how I manage my show, because we, at KSDS, we are not just announcers. We program our own music. We engineer our own shows. We don't have producers. We don't have people in there running the board for us. We do it all. So if anything technically goes awry, you have to be able to open the mic, make sure there's no dead air, and still fix whatever the problem is. So that very, very early lesson in broadcasting really set the tone for my entire career, and I'm always going to be grateful.
You also have an amazing voice.
Thank you.
And you didn't talk about your training in voice training. Was there ever voice training?
Never.
You just got in front of the mic and you felt comfortable.
I was fortunate that I had a mother who encouraged me to read, and we would read to each other when I was a little kid. I was very shy, believe it or not. I was a very shy kid. Didn't pipe up much, kept myself, off to the side a lot. And then I did choirs all through school, from kindergarten all the way through college. I was in choirs, and that helped. And then when I got into high school, I started really doing theater and getting real roles. And I have to thank my theater teachers and my choir teachers. Judy Hubbard, Susan Clark, Lisa Savage. I'll never forget these people because they helped me find confidence to use the voice that I had.
So what brought you to San Diego in the first place?
I was working very happily at WVPE, which is the NPR affiliate in Elkhart, Indiana. Loved the job, loved the people I worked with, didn't leave because I wasn't enjoying myself. And I had belonged at one point to a listserv of jobs throughout public radio, and I had unsubscribed from that, and one day a message came through from that listserv, the first in weeks, and it was for a job in San Diego doing jazz radio. And I was hosting jazz at this NPR affiliate. I was the nighttime jazz host. And I thought, well, that's very interesting. I got that notice in January. And anybody who knows anything about Northern Indiana in January knows where I'm going with this. So January, get up in the morning, had a nice snowstorm overnight, dug the car out, went into the house to get my briefcase, took the first step onto my porch, a snowplow came by and buried my car. And I thought, I'm going to apply for that job in San Diego. I'm just going to see how that's going to work. And I was already working for an educational facility, so it was appealing to me that KSDS was part of City College and part of the San Diego Community College District. I liked the idea of marrying our professional experience with students and what we could offer them, and frankly, what we could learn from them, because every semester you get a fresh perspective.
You really have created a name for yourself in the city. People connect with you, musicians, I mean, everybody who knows anything about jazz in San Diego. You've either interviewed them, you've announced their music, you have been on stage and introduced them at events. It's hard to ask you what is your favorite part about this position that you've held for so long, but I guess I have to ask you what you're going to miss the most.
Wow.
You've done so much.
My favorite part about this is exactly what I'm going to miss the most, and that is the connection and the community. I view my position as a broadcaster and a jazz host, in particular, in a community like San Diego, where our jazz scene is amazing. I have said for years, and I stand by this, I always will, that I will take the caliber of jazz musicians in San Diego and I'll stack them up against any city in the country, any city in the world. The talent that we have in San Diego, just as good as Chicago, just as good as New York, just as good as London, Paris, Stockholm. We have absolutely top tier talent. There's a saying, when you get started in jazz, as a musician, you're one of the young lions. And so for me to be able to connect the audiences that enjoy this music with the musicians who are creating this just brilliant scene. And we also are fortunate over the years. I've been very fortunate because San Diego has been the home to legends. Charles McPherson lives here. Charles McPherson actually played with Charlie Parker, played with Charles Mingus. Mundell Lowe lived here. Mike Wofford lived here. Barney Kessel lived here. Anthony Ortega lived here. You can look up any of these names and you will see the importance of their music and their contributions to the jazz canon. So to not only have their music accessible, but to be able to sit in a coffee shop and talk with these people, to bring them into the studio, this is living history. This is something that you can't get from a book, that you can't get from watching films. When you can sit down with someone of that caliber who has that lengthy career, when you get older in the jazz community, you are revered. You are not replaced. You're not sidelined. The younger cats will do anything they can to get a gig with you, or to even just get an audience with you and learn from you. So what I'm going to miss the most is the community that has embraced me for 25 years and has allowed me to become one of them as much as a non-musician can. I've had the privilege of inducting Sue Palmer into the San Diego Music Hall of Fame. I've had the privilege of awarding San Diego Music Awards to Nathan Hubbard, Johnny Vernazza, Ed Kornhauser, all of these incredible people that are in this town. I've had the privilege of watching young musicians come into San Diego and grow, and now they are helping younger musicians come up. I'm thinking specifically of trombonist Matt Hall and alto saxophonist Charlie Arbelais. I met them when they were both still in the United States Marine Band, and Gilbert Castellanos had drafted them to work on a project at the San Diego Repertory Theater. They were just kids, and now they have firmly found their place. They've released records on their own. They are gigging all over town. They went and made their way in New York for a while before coming home to San Diego. So watching all of that growth over 25 years and not just being on the sideline observing, but being in the thick of it has just been, it's a dream that I didn't even know I was dreaming of.
Did you ever think in a million years that you would be there as long as you have and become a staple of this station?
Wow, that's a really good question. When I started here in 2001, I wasn't thinking about 2026. I was thinking about the next day, the next week. What's the next gig? What's the next show going to be? Sometimes, what's the next song going to be? So I think that's a one of the reasons why radio has worked so well for me as a career, because it's very much in the moment. Nothing is ever stagnant in broadcasting. And I like that. I like being able to keep moving and keep thinking, and the music keeps me on my toes. There's always somebody new coming out with a new sound. There's a new version of a classic tune or something like that. So really for me, I didn't really think about my future for all of those years. I thought about what are we doing tonight? How do we make tonight good?
What's on your list that you haven't checked off that you're hoping to still accomplish?
Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some time for myself, and I'm going to go spend some time with my aging family, and I'm going to reconnect with some old friends, and I'm just going to relax for a while and breathe a little bit, because by virtue of the thing that makes broadcasting so great, it can also be exhausting because you're constantly on your toes. And I'm just ready to just kind of chill out a little bit and see what the universe is willing to provide for me. I'm going to be a San Diegan because I love this community. I feel at home here. I'm from Indiana. I love where I'm from and the people that raised me, the people that were part of my growing up. But I belong in San Diego. I feel like San Diego is home to me. So what I'm hoping is after I take this little break and I do some of the personal things that I need to do, that I can come back and re-immerse myself in the San Diego music scene. And I am determined to find a way to continue to represent, especially the jazz scene, but also the blues scene here in San Diego, because again, absolute top drawer musicians live here. We've got a vibrant scene. We've got an audience that is so supportive and loving toward their musicians, and the musicians give all of that love right back. So it's my hope that when I'm done taking care of these personal things that I need to address, that I can come back and I can find a way to be part of the San Diego music scene, to continue serving as a connector between the audience and the artists, because that's where I'm comfortable. That's what I feel like I do best, whether I'm
I
booking.
understand that you are about to get a big accolade. Are you allowed to talk about that yet?
I'm a little verklempt. I've been hosting a variety of musicians and people connected to the music industry as guest DJs these last couple of weeks that I'm on the air at KSDS. And one of them is a gentleman named Jefferson J. And Jefferson J is the founder of the San Diego Music Hall of Fame. A few years ago, I had the privilege of inducting Sue Palmer, Queen of Boogie Woogie here in San Diego. I had the privilege of inducting her into the San Diego Music Hall of Fame. And Jefferson told me when he was on the air with me that in October, I am going to be inducted into the San Diego Music Hall of Fame. When a musician tells you that they like your show, when a musician tells you that they appreciate what you are doing for their community, that is an accolade of the absolute highest order. And the idea of being inducted into the San Diego Music Hall of Fame, along with all of these people whose work I so deeply admire, is just an honor I could never have predicted.
What advice would you give to young people who want to go into this broadcasting career?
You just have to swallow your fear, and you have to be confident, and you have to go for it. You just have to say yes. And if you're not sure if you can do it, say yes anyway and try. And align yourself with people who are better than you, because that's how you're going to become better. But as I head into this particular retirement, this 25 years in San Diego and the previous years of broadcasting in Indiana, I just have so much gratitude. I am so happy that I was where I was when I was there. I've met some of the world's greatest musicians. I have traveled all around the world for music. I've traveled all around the country for music. I've had the honor of presenting concerts. I've had the honor of interviewing some of these people, but mostly I have had just the pure, unadulterated joy of connecting with an audience, whether it's at a festival or they come in to volunteer to help us during our fundraising campaigns, and to see the joy that music brings them and to know that I'm part of that and that I'm a conduit for that is just, it's an incredible gift. It's a gift that was given to me, not necessarily a gift that I'm giving to others. It's a gift that was given to me, and I am so grateful for it. And I never would have imagined growing up, under the poverty line in northern Indiana, a free lunch kid who was too shy to speak up in class. I never would have thought that I would become the Claudia Russell that I am now. And I know that my mother is smiling down on me from heaven, and she's doing this.